let me close that chart out. Yesterday we had these three forecasts that were up here. S&P should fail at 46.45, then decline to 46.28 to 26, and then advance to 46.41. So this is a two-step forecast. So they should fail at 45, go down to 21. They did, then go up to 41. Now they did go higher than that, but this was our forecast, and we never take credit for moves that are beyond what we forecast, because that's a scam. That's a thing that people do when they show their stuff. Whoever it is, it's unfortunate, but they try to take advantage of the fact that people may not realize that they only forecast, if they were forecasting at all, that something was going to happen. But they say, oh, you could have made, look how much you could have made. You could have gotten that over here. That kind of talk is just nonsense. You have to have a forecast and you have to trade to that forecast. If the market goes beyond it and you don't have a real reason to believe they're going to continue higher, you won't stay in the market for this continued advance. So when people make it, it's always easy after the fact to say, yeah, you would have been in and you go up here. But there's many things in our minds that make that look like that would have been easy. But in real time, in real trading, it isn't easy. So what is easy, or easier, I should say, is to know what the market's likely going to do and to trade to that number. There are times where we'll give out a forecast and say, listen, there's a possibility that they're going to go substantially higher. We didn't do that in this case, but there's a possibility that they're going to go substantially higher than this. And if they do, then you would want to be in with your last position. I mean, an old rule for me was I'm going to make the largest gain and be the smallest in position size when that happens. Why would I do that? Because if I have the most number of positions, then I make more money. Why wouldn't I want to do that? Because when you're in the smallest position, it's easy to hold for the largest gain. Because you've already, let's say that we had laid this out, the way that it actually landed. We said, hey, first you're going to go down from 45 to 21, then you're going to go up to 41, but there's a real possibility of a move up to, let's say, 66. I would take my gains off here, except for maybe one contract or one unit, whatever that is. And it makes it very easy to stay with it because I'm not trading in a large size. And I've already booked the majority of my gains here. So anything that happens up here is a lot easier to deal with. So most people say, I want to be in my largest position when the market goes the furthest. But that goes completely counter. They're in a dream state. That goes completely counter to human nature. Human nature gets exponentially more concerned with their position and their ability to hold it, the larger it is. So I have learned to be in my smallest position when I'm in such a condition here where we're running for some distant target because there's a decent probability that they'll do that or whatever. Otherwise, we would have just forecast they went straight up here and we'd hold for the whole bloody thing. But let's say we told them that it was going to go here, which is what we did. If we said, hey, there's a possibility they'll go up to here, I'm in my smallest position, and it makes it very easy for me to maintain that position to get that gain, but in a small position. So, contrary to what, so many traders do, which is they always just think in terms of what would make me the most amount of money. And the universe doesn't work that way. Everything you want in whatever size, there's a payment for that somewhere in the system. There's some payment that has to be made for that. And if you don't make that payment, then you will not be able to get the reward. And when your human nature is such as it is with me, and I'm normal, and most people are, the larger your position is, the harder it is to hold it for substantially further movement. That's why when people say things like, oh, if somebody would have told me to buy Amazon when it was $25, I would have had this much money now, right? And they list off some, money that is like enough money to run a country. But they would not have held their position. If God himself, Jesus, comes back in a carriage, floats down, comes in from the northeast, lands on your front lawn and says, buy Amazon at $25 and hold it until I come back. Right? Because Jesus is always in the business of coming back. So great. He leaves. The guy buys it at 25. It gets up to 50. And he's thinking, well, I've kind of doubled my money. That's not half bad. And then it gets to 100. He said, well, I've sort of tripled my money. Now it's up at 150, and he's starting to think, well, I've kind of made pretty good in here. I don't know when Jesus is going to return, but I'm in pretty good shape here. I've made 4 or 5 times my money. What more can I ask for? Right? But then he forgets about it for a little while, and now he looks at it, and it's up at $400. And he's thinking, good Lord, I'm waiting for Jesus to come back to tell me to get out, but I don't know how long I can hold. Right? And he still holds. Finally, a couple days later, or a month later, it's up at $1,400. He bought it for $25. He can't take it anymore, and he gets out. That's what happens.